Welcome back to the 9th Gym program, and today we are continuing our restricted guide series with Xerneas. Xerneas is one of the most scary Pokemon, one of the Pokemon that has the most horror stories, and probably commonly thought of as the strongest Pokemon due to its move Geomancy, which gives it +2 in speed, special attack, and special defense, all the SP stats. It's very, very scary. And then it has to charge for a turn, but with the held item Power Herb, you don't have to charge anymore. So you just become this absurdly strong threat right out of the gates after one turn of setup, which is just something that is unheard of. I mean, you take things like Swords Dance that charges or that doesn't charge but is a turn of setup, and you only get +2 in 1 stat. And this, with the 8 of 1 held item, you get +2 in 3 stats for 1 turn. So it's very, very strong. You put this next to a Follow Me user or like an Incineroar, depending on your opponent's team comp, then you're just, after 1 turn, it's just absurdly strong. So Xerneas is pretty crazy. Let's go ahead and talk it up. So, Fairy typing, pretty good. 1 immunity, 3 resistances, and 2 weaknesses. Pretty solid overall. You know, Poison and Steel are both like pretty good in the meta. Poison is not huge, but it is on a really good Pokemon. You know, the Venusaur. So that's, you know, a thing. But Steel is always a pretty prevalent typing. It's very good. Fairy typing in general is just really solid. You have really good special defense and HP, so this Pokemon can be a pretty good defensive switch into its resisted attacks as well as into its immunity. But of course, this Pokemon really gets a lot out of setup, so it's probably going to be a lead most of the time for Xerneas, so that's, you know, something to keep note of. Its ability, Fairy Aura, is very, very solid. Powers up every Pokemon it plays Fairy type moves by 33.3. It's very similar to Yveltal, but instead of Dark, it's Fairy, so that is pretty good. Xerneas, let's talk about its stats. So, HP at 126 is very, very good, especially after Dynamax and Geomancy. This thing's incredibly bulky after that. Defense at 95 is pretty average, and then special defense at 98 is a little above average. About average for a restricted Pokemon, I would say. So, pretty solid natural bulk, but after, you know, Geomancy, your special defense is insane, so that's pretty crazy. As far as offense, attack and special attack both at 131, but, you know, we get the +2 after Geomancy to special attack, so you can pretty much ignore the attack stat, but, you know, it's still there. Yeah, special attack at 131 +2 from Geomancy makes this thing an absolute monster. It's just doing so much damage, it's insane. Speed at 99 is pretty solid as well for a base speed, and then, you know, after a +2 from Geomancy is insane. It is unfortunate that it underspeeds those base 100 speed Pokemon just barely, but it is there, and it happens. So yeah, that's about it for the Xerneas overview. Let's go ahead and talk about the movesets that I have prepared. So both of them are going to be using Power Herb, and one is just a little bit of, you know, taken away from speed into bulk, because after the +2 in speed, the only thing you really have to outspeed is Regieleki and itself, and Xerneas, actually, to my surprise, is not seeing that much play currently, so yeah, it's pretty interesting. But I would probably still go for the 252-252-4 spread for now, just to see how the meta shapes up. But after a little while, you know, more, you know, intense spreads are cool. But I'm still gonna explain the spread that I created. So let's talk about it. Xerneas at Power Herb, at Fairy Aura, all of those things are not going to change. Level 50, once again, not going to change. I don't even know why I say that half the time. Anyway, EV spread is 92 HP, 4 defense, 252 special attack, 4 special defense, and 156 into the speed. Modest nature. So let me go ahead and explain this a little bit. So at 156 speed, you do get to whatever 278 is divided by 2, 139. Quick math. I think that's right. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's 139, which is as fast as Regieleki can get, is 277. So getting to 278 after Geomancy is meaning you pretty much outspeeding everything except opposing Xerneas. That is max speed and Geomancied up. So that is, you know, something to keep in mind. Also at 280 is Excadrill in Sand Rush. So if Sand is popular, then you're going to want to make it, you know, gets to 281 or 282, probably 282 because, you know, can't really divide 281 in half, but yeah, you'll want to get a little bit faster, so investing, you know, 16 more points into Xerneas at that time is probably optimal, but still, you know, right now this is how it is. I don't expect like Excadrill Sand to be too huge this format, but Maybe it can be, especially with things like Xerneas, maybe have like either weakness policy or like AV the Excadrill. Excadrill is really good against Xerneas, but yeah, it's there. Anyway, Xerneas, that explains that move set, and then I just went all into EV, and then I minus 8, and then put those into defense and special defense because that's just a good thing to do a lot of the time. So that's to explain that Xerneas thing. The Xerneas spread. So let's talk about the move pool that I gave it, or the move set that I gave it. Geomancy, Moonblast, Dazzling Gleam, Protect, about as basic as you can get possible for this move set. Dual stab or dual stab attacks. Not 2 times stab. But yeah, we have Moonblast and Dazzling Gleam. Both are there. To provide a little bit of usage. When this is going to be a max Pokemon, though, you can change out one of those if you want to. You go Geomancy, Moonblast, Protect, and Coverage move, and there's a lot of coverage moves that we have accessible for this Pokemon, and we'll talk about that in just one moment, but I want to talk about the secondary spread first. So, Power Herb, Fairy Aura, nothing's going to change there. Level 50, nothing going to change there. We have EVs at 4 HP, 252 into special attack, and 252 into speed. This is going to be what you see more frequently of the time. Actually, I think more frequently of the time they are going to take away a little bit of special attack and speed, but I wanted to focus more down on the special attack just so you could do as much damage. But for this spread, it is going to be 252 special attack and speed, 4 left over into HP, and then Timid Nature just to be as fast as possible, which makes a lot of sense. The moveset is identical. Geomancy, I said that like a fancy one. Geomancy, Moonblast, Dazzling Gleam, and Protect. Nothing's really going to change there unless you wanted to go for the Dynamax move. And since then you have just single targeting anyway, instead of Dazzling Gleam as a chance to, multi-target. So, yeah, it's just something I wanted to say. Anyway, let's talk about these customizations. So we have Draining Kiss, which is interesting. Being able to get a little bit of healing is pretty interesting. With Thunderbolt, Flash Cannon, Focus Blast, Psychic, Psyshock, Hyper Beam, and Grass Knot for coverage. A lot of good coverage from this Xerneas. Also, Hyper Voice, if you don't want to go Hyper Beam for Max Strike. Just a couple of notable moves there. A lot of good coverage. Thunderbolt's a really good coverage. Or Thunder. They're both really good coverage in this format. So, yeah. I'd probably go that instead of maybe Dazzling Gleam, potentially. But I do like the, one, like, you're only really going to be attacking with Fairy anyway, but it's still, it's there. It's cool. Anyway, that's about it for the move sets and builds that I have prepared. So let's talk about these 3 customized. I said it again, man. I did that last episode. These 3 synergetic Pokemon. So first off, I have Clefairy and Amoonguss. These are kind of like a joint one here. Really just signifying anything follow me. But Clefairy is double fairy. So if your opponent has like, a very anti-fairy team, then they're going to be able to crush this lead, which is kind of scary. And then kind of scary. And then you have, of course, Amoonguss, which is another option there that isn't fairy, that has the the Rage Powder. What can I think of that? It has Rage Power, so it does have redirection as well. But then you also, of course, have Venusaur, which is unaffected because it's a grass type, and it has Sludge Bomb / Max Ooze into the Xerneas, which is going to do a lot of damage before that Geomancy is able to set up, because it will be faster if it's a Sun build. So, yeah, Amoonguss is like kind of sketchy to use, but Clefairy is also kind of sketchy to use. So, yeah, we'll see how it shapes up. We also have Indeedee. Indeedee female has Follow Me. It's redirection, and it's neither of those typings, so it will be able to do that, which is really good. So, yeah, there's a couple of different options there. Anyway, next we have the Incineroar. Incineroar is another great member. Fake Out is good. Damage Deafening is good. And, it has good typing that hits a lot of stuff. It can hit these Steel Pokemon. And I mean, it can hit the most relevant Poison typing, which is Venusaur. So, Incineroar definitely is a really good synergetic Pokemon for Xerneas to have by its side. And, yeah, I'd stamp that. Anyway, that's it for this part. Let's go ahead and move on to the speed tiers. So, in speed tiers, we are at 166 at max speed. However, my build is at 139, so it will be under all of these speed tiers. But at 166, it is on the same speed tier as Yveltal, which is interesting. And then you are outspeeding a lot of really good Pokemon in that 166 range. There are still going to be a lot of them, a lot of Pokemon in that 167 to 200 range. But as for now, let's talk about the Pokemon we outspeed. So, outspeeding Lunala and Solgaleo, both out that 163 mark. Outspeeding Rayquaza, Tapu Lele, Lando T without Scarf. Outspeeding Groudon, Kyogre, which is very, very good. Excadrill, Duraludon, which may make a bit of a comeback. I don't think it's like super likely that it'll make a much of a comeback, but it is possible due to like Xerneas with Follow Me. I don't think Xerneas is actually going to be that huge this format, but it's definitely going to be insane and definitely something you have to respect. Anyway, so yeah, 166 is pretty good speed tier, but we do have a lot of Pokemon in that 167 from the base hundreds to the 200 plus mark. Things like Palkia, Salamence, Zapdos, Volcarona, all being pretty fast at that base 100, and then things like Nihilego, Regieleki, you have Dragapult, you have all the 160 to 200 things like Kartana, Garchomp, all these good Pokemon in that range that will be outspeeding Xerneas naturally, which is unfortunate. But like I said, once you go to Geomancy, you go to 278 with the spread that I provided, which outspeeds all the mentioned Pokemon as well as Regieleki at max speed. So that is something that is really interesting and something to keep note of. That you can make Xerneas Insignia fast with a +2 from Geomancy, obviously. So yeah. Anyway, that is it for the speed tiers. Let's go ahead and talk about some damage calcs. So as far as damage calcs go, all of these are going to be off of Geomancy, all of the offensive ones, because we are going to inevitably use Geomancy turn 1 almost every time unless we switch. So yeah. Anyway, +2, 140 special attack. I just wanted to show off that this was all the special attack investment you needed to Oko a Dynamaxed Veltal with 4 HP and 4 special defense. I don't know why it's 4 special defense. That was just default. But yeah, 140 plus +2 from Geomancy. Fairy Aura, Xerneas, Moonblast, not even max Starfall, Moonblast, hits into the 4 HP, 4 special defense, Dynamax of Veltal, 100 to 117%, which is guaranteed OHKO. So that is a very good thing to have. Veltal is definitely going to be shaping up to be a really, really big Pokemon in this format. A lot of really good Ghost and Psychic type Pokemon, things like Mewtwo, we have Lunala, a whole bunch of really good Pokemon that Dynamaxed, that Veltal looks really, really good right now. So having that calc is really good. Anyway, next we have the +2 from Geomancy, 252 plus special attacking Fairy Aura, Xerneas, max Starfall, into an Assault Vest, 252 HP, 4 special defense Rillaboom. This I just wanted to, I just threw out a couple of random calcs here that are just like huge damage that I just wanted to show off. So into AV, max invested into HP, Rillaboom, we are hitting 139 to 164%, which is guaranteed OHKO. So that is really good to have. Just interesting little calcs there. That's a good one to have. Next, we have the +2, 252 plus special attacking Fairy Aura, Xerneas, max Starfall. That's a long one. Into 4 HP Dynamax Lando T, hitting 118 to 140%, which is guaranteed OHKO. That is, Dynamaxing Landorus is pretty infamous for having an AV, so that's something that I probably wouldn't run every time unless they have, unless you already discovered their AV somewhere on their team, or it used Protect, so it's not AV. But still, it's something relevant to know and cool to know. Anyway, next we have +2, 252 plus special attacking Fairy Aura, Xerneas, max Starfall. Say that 100 times fast. Say anything 100 times fast and it's annoying. I don't know why I said 100. That's a big number for that. Anyway, into 252 HP, 4 special defense, Groudon hitting 170 to 200%, which is guaranteed OHKO, which is really good. And even if it Dynamaxes, you have a 2-3% chance to OHKO. Good stuff. Anyway, it's good against a Groudon that's not Dynamaxing. So if it's next to like a Venusaur or a Charizard that does Dynamax or Gigantamax, then you are taking out the Groudon most likely, which is really good. Next, we have 252 Special Attack Life Orb, Duraludon, Max Steel Spike into our Xerneas, 4 HP Xerneas. So this is something that I did want to mention. So Duraludon, I don't expect to make a huge comeback, but it is there, and it is good against Xerneas. So something interesting to note, that it is capable of skipping the redirection and hitting 140 to 160% guaranteed OHKO into a Xerneas. So if you see your opponent has Duraludon, just don't bring Xerneas on lead. That's just like something you shouldn't do. So yeah, interestingly enough, yeah, keep that in mind. Anyway, next we have 252 plus special attacking Life Orb, Venusaur Max Ooze into our 4 HP Xerneas, non-Dynamaxed. It is hitting 94 to 111, which is a 68% chance to OHKO, which is a really high chance. So, that's a potentially tough matchup as well. So, Yeah, good to know. Anyway, that is it for the damage calcs. Let's talk about single spotlight real quick before I end the video. So single spotlight, not much is going to be changing here. We're still going to be using Power Herb Geomancy, but instead of double stab, because Dazzling Gleam is the same as Moonblast essentially, we are using Moonblast, Thunder, and then Substitute. So Thunder is actually really good in this format. It's a really good coverage move. You're able to hit things like the Duskmane Necrozma, or whatever the other way is. It's just essentially a good coverage move. And I went off of Smogon a little bit with this, and because I was trying to figure out what coverage move is the best, and it can do a lot of damage to Zacian Crowned. After some tick damage, it can just take it right out. And then the Dawn Wings Necrozma, it's very good. It takes out Dynamaxed Ho-Oh, which is crazy, like knocks it out entirely, which is really good. And being able to hit things like Ferrothorn and stuff is really good as well. So yeah, that is why Thunder was there. And then we went Substitute as well. Just if your opponent's like swapping out Afraid and you already set up Geomancy, you might as well throw out a Substitute, and then you still have good coverage like with the Thunder anyway. So yeah, it's good stuff. And then for the spread, I just went 252 into special attack and speed, and then the leftover 4 into defense with Modest Nature, because it's naturally very fast, and after a Geomancy, it's incredibly fast. So it's better to have that in the Modest, so your Thunder is taking out things that Moonblast cannot. So that is it for the video. Thanks so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, leave a like, comment, subscribe. Makes a huge difference. Go down into the description, click on all those links, and follow all those pages and stuff. It's all my socials and stuff. Just support me on other websites if you support the channel. Thanks so much for watching. I hope you have a good weekend. Hope you enjoy Series 8. Goodbye.